Okay, well, welcome to this year's production of our safety video for churches and schools. I'm Mike Dermanuel Jr., president of Dermanuel Insurance Group, now a division of Hub International. And this year we're going to just take a kind of a run through a lot of the topics we've done in the past. And the reason for that is because over 25 years I've been in the middle of workers' comp and claims and looking how people get injured, and really down to 8 to 12 common themes with why our employees get hurt at work. And so we're going to review and go back through it. And it is important to invest the time in looking through this information, because workers' compensation is one of the only costs you have that are truly variable based on how much you use it at the school or the church. And because of that, a culture of safety can really create cost savings for the ministry. And by culture saving, I mean investing the time to watch safety videos, but also throughout the year, taking a few times a year during in-service or other times to really talk about different safety topics and different safety issues. So I would encourage you to pay close attention here. I think, some of this, if you've been around, you've seen before. I've been doing these safety videos for 20 years now. And so I hope you enjoy and I hope you get good information. But remember that this is an effort that doesn't begin or end with what you're seeing here today, but really must continue throughout the year to have that culture of safety that we all want. What is it like to really have a culture of safety? And a culture of safety is really represented in a number of different variables. First, how do we hire people? Do we get the best people? Do we get people that are really aligned with our cultural values as a ministry, as a school, as a church? Second, how do we take care of our facilities? What kind of precautions do we take around campus day in and day out when we have a lot of activity? What kind of training programs do we have for our employees? This is really at the heart of creating that culture of safety, because unless we have the culture, we're not going to be successful in keeping people from getting hurt. Okay, everybody, what's wrong with this picture? Let's go back down. Now you can see we're in a shop, but this problem would apply anywhere where we have extension cords going across the aisleways or going in places where there's foot traffic. You see an issue with this? I certainly do. This is definitely a trip and fall hazard. So it's not enough to just tape over an extension cord. We have to have something that will not allow a situation like this to occur. Look at this. These are the kind of things you've got to pay attention to no matter what part of the campus you're on. Whether you're in an interior classroom or whether you're outdoors, it doesn't matter. It could also apply to something like a garden hose that is in a high traffic area. This is just an unnecessary hazard that is easy to correct. Really no excuses for having this here.
Part of our inspection process is to look at classrooms and see what the hazards are in there, what they look like. And many times we come upon things that are up on the wall, and I always ask the question, well, how do you get these decorations up on the wall close to the ceiling? And there's a moment of silence there, and I think the reason being is because we see teachers using chairs and tables to gain access to put their decorations up. There's a much safer way to do this, and is to use a step ladder. Our belief is that every classroom should have a step ladder instead of going to dangerous habits like standing on tables and chairs.
Special attention today to slips, trips, and falls. The number one cause of injuries. Most can be avoided by slowing down and correcting tripping hazards. That's all.
No.
I have very little patience for stupidity.
What was wrong with that? I mean, really, how stupid am I for doing that?
What is going on? What are you doing?
Do you know what was wrong with that? Now let me show you how to do that the right way. One simple change.
That's what I'm talking about!
Went from a high probability of injury to a low probability of injury. You know, we talk about holding handrails all the time. Some of you don't do that very often. Every time you go down a set of stairs, even if it's 3 steps, and you're not holding a handrail, you're putting yourself at risk. You're also putting the school at risk or the church at risk. So when you're going up and down stairs, hold handrails, don't carry too much, don't block your vision. Those are the key points for not slipping and falling while you're going up and down stairs. So what you see here is a classic example of somebody really taking a huge risk. You've got a very high staircase, they're looking at their phone, and so no handrail, they're walking on the wrong side. So on a normal day, you'd have people going up the side that they're walking down. I would call this a really big unforced error. It doesn't need to be this way. Somebody can just simply avoid looking at their phone and hold the handrail for the 20 seconds it takes to come down the stairs. All right, if you've ever seen the Allstate commercials featuring mayhem, this is it. Why are we sitting in a dark room doing anything? Well, because from time to time, some of you walk into dark rooms and try to navigate your way across the room, and inevitably something like this happens. Well, this is we call this kind of an unforced error. I don't want to let you in on anything too secret, but when we see injuries come through, we do a little bit of eye rolling on these. Why? There's a light switch right next to the door. And guess what? Did you know you're all carrying a flashlight? Right here, flashlight. Every single phone has a flashlight. So folks, let's not commit unforced errors. Use light when you walk into a room. We spend a little time on proper lifting because lower back injuries are so common. Just taking a few minutes to get help or simply using the correct lifting technique can avoid the possibility of missing weeks of work as you heal.
Stop it. Get some help.
Ladies, really? I have just walked 10 inches in these shoes. My right calf is cramping, my toes have already turned black, I've almost fallen over 4 times, okay? These guys gave me $100 today to put these on because we wanted to illustrate something, and that is the absurdity of improper footwear in the workplace and the havoc that it causes. It causes, look at this, I can't even talk and balance at the same time. I'm gonna get out of these now, but this is a familiar sight, isn't it? Now maybe your heels aren't this long or this tall, but there's no way anybody could function in these. It's just impossible. So we're on the campus of Valley Christian Schools in San Jose, Warrior Field. They got beautiful facilities here, a great athletic program, but what comes with that are a lot of coaches. And what comes with a lot of coaches are a lot of people doing things maybe they shouldn't be doing. So I want to ask Gabe here. Gabe, what's the #1 piece of advice you have for a coach in the process of coaching their sport?
I think you can demonstrate the sports. I think it's showing people what to do and what not to do, but not at full speed. When we have coaches doing full speed demonstration of a particular move with the particular sport they're at, that's when we get into trouble.
Okay, how about you, Reggie? What do you think?
Well, the only thing I can think of is that in your head, you're 18. but physically you're not 18 anymore. So just remember that.
Exactly. Matt, what kind of claims are we seeing out there injury-wise with coaches?
We've had torn ACLs, we've seen ruptured Achilles tendons, we've seen torn rotator cuffs. So we're seeing some major stuff.
Yeah. And so what happens is you've got people that are just doing their job. Maybe you're a volleyball coach and you're going up to demonstrate a kill and you tear your Achilles. We've had coaches throwing batting practice, tear their labrums or hurt their shoulders. We've had line coaches doing football drills with kids. Clearly they're completely outmanned in the process of doing that. So the rule of thumb here is demonstrate, but not at full speed. Know your physical limitations and understand that as a coach, you are one of the biggest hazards on campus in terms of a potential injury. Okay, no matter what kind of campus you are on, things like this are going to happen. You're going to have tree roots, you're going to have settling, and it's tough to keep up with all of it, especially in a big place with acres and acres and acres of property. One of the reasons why we come out and do inspections every year for the Cornerstone program and for other reasons is so we can bring issues like this to your attention. This is a significant trip and fall hazard. So Gabe and Reggie, when you're out looking and when you're out inspecting for Cornerstone, what kind of recommendations would you make when you see something like this?
Well, when I see an issue like this, a trip and fall hazard, we always talk about maintenance and maybe cutting the slab. But if they don't have funds for that, maybe renting a concrete shaper or grinder to even out the space.
You know, you don't have to be a safety engineer to participate in self-inspection on your campus. Take a look at this, for example. This is the natural transition between classrooms. This stuff is put away perfectly, just fine. There's nothing to report here. But if you kind of look back over my shoulder, you can kind of get into the hallway and you can see that a couple of items have been left out. Now, these are the kind of issues you're going to want to do something about if you see them. My point is this: everybody can be participative in self-inspections on your campus. Most injuries occur in August, September, and January when things are a little bit messy coming back. So be proactive. Don't walk past anything that might cause injury to yourself or to one of your coworkers. It's not uncommon for us to see lots of injuries on playgrounds, tripping over students, being hit by flying objects, and injuries caused by adults using playground equipment are the main causes of injury. I think playground injuries are very avoidable as long as we think about it. You know, the joys of being on the playground brings back memories. 50 years ago, I was on a playground like this, breathing the clean air. And I know you have fun out here too when you work on the playground, but you know, you got to be aware of flying objects. You really do. Don't laugh. It's a real hazard. As you can see, I have superior peripheral vision, and that is required of all of you out here in this jungle we call the playground.
You embarrassed yourself.
Okay, so every once in a while we're going to have an injury because nobody's perfect. No matter how hard we try, there are things we can't control. So it's important to understand what to do when we have an injury. And that's where Matt Havens comes in. So Matt, you know, we've had an injury. What do we do next?
First thing is to get the claim reported.
Okay.
Let the campus representative know so that the necessary paperwork can be completed, the investigation can be completed.
Right.
We could learn the true mechanism of the injury so we can learn from the injury
Right.
and prevent future. The other thing that the campus representative will do is direct the injured employee to the medical provider within the medical provider network.
Right, so that's really important. We get the employee to the right provider. Now, there's two kinds of injuries that we have. We have medical only, which just requires some medical treatment, no lost time. And then we have lost time injuries. Let's talk about how we treat those differently, Matt.
Medical only are usually your much less severe injuries. It's going to be a couple appointments with the doctor, and the person's going to reach pre-injury status relatively quickly.
Okay.
The lost time injuries are much more complicated, and it's very important that we get those started on the right foot initially, get them reported immediately, so that we can ensure that the injury is addressed medically as it's supposed to be, as well as benefits being provided expediently.
And we're going to want to make sure that we have some return to work opportunities, and so that, or some modified duty if possible, because we want people that are injured to not be home. If possible, we want them back at work doing modified duty so they can continue to contribute to what we're doing at the church or the school. While electric carts can be a valuable resource on our campuses, any staff member that uses them should follow the proper safety protocols, and there should be training before anybody uses an electric cart.
Many of our churches and schools have these types of vehicles, electric golf carts. They're pretty versatile and used quite often throughout the campus, usually by facilities or maintenance. One couple of things to keep in mind, only licensed drivers are allowed to operate such equipment. You have to have a valid driver's license. The speed, many times when I go out on campuses, I see people driving like Mario Andretti. Part of the training that we should be talking about is driving around corners and making sure that we stop or slow down at blind intersections. This is something that is very critical. Every year we have accidents with these types of vehicles, and it's because people are just driving too fast. They have speed governors. You can adjust that. If you're the one operating the vehicle, it's important to secure the key. That way nobody else drives away with it. The parking brake for a golf cart is the top pedal, and you want to make sure that that is secured, especially when you're on an incline or sloped area of the campus. Golf cart safety rules should be part of your injury and illness prevention plan, and it should also be in your fleet safety program, so they understand how to operate a golf cart, and also they understand the safety rules.
What are you? An idiot sandwich.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yes!
Okay, that concludes this year's presentation. I want to let you know that throughout the year now, there's a number of resources you can access. We have the DMIG Resource Center. We have a YouTube channel with all kinds of safety videos on it that we've made throughout the years. You can contact Gabe Laurenti or Reggie Sadler to schedule a visit and come out and look at your facility or your property. And so these are the ongoing resources that we have to help you create that culture of safety. And again, we're talking about conserving our resources so we have more to put back into our ministries. And that's the ultimate goal here, is to minimize injuries, which minimizes our costs, which creates additional financial capacity to put back in doing what we do best, which is ministering to people and educating kids. Thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you again soon.